And I'm not going to get the percentages exactly right.
Yeah.
But the essence of the study was the more goals you have, the lower the probability
of getting them
that
all done.
you will achieve. No, that you will
some.
achieve even one of them.
Isn't that interesting?
That's exactly right. And so what it suggests is you focus on one or a very few things at a time.
Okay.
Now, I think the successful business owners pick what would make the most difference.
Right.
And at some level become, I'm going to use the word maniacal, become somewhat maniacal at getting that implemented.
Right.
The thing we miss is once it's done, it's done.
Right.
And it's there for us to build on.
I love that. And just to piggyback off of that, and then I'm going to ask you another question. I love that point that you made, which we lost it a little bit, but I want you guys to really get this. You implied a threshold value where a benefit was achieved, which doesn't necessarily have to be 100% done, but it's close.
Right.
Okay. Whatever. Let's say it's 100%. But there's a threshold value that it's not 50%. There's a threshold value, and that people then, so what's happening is when they're getting, I think you said frantic, when they're getting that frantic and dispersing their efforts, which is what I'm talking about, they're actually just let's say it's 70% or 80%, what they're doing is they're working all the way up to that 80%, no benefit, and then let's go back, and let's say no benefit, and let's go back and do all that. But what you're doing is you're helping that bridge that implementation gap. So here's my question. What is it that, as a business owner, give us an example, if you don't mind, of maybe, and we don't have to name names or anything like that, but give us an example of a client or some type of situation where it's like, okay, Bill, they hired you to come in. They realized, listen, for whatever reason, the donuts aren't making themselves, okay? So what we have to do is we need you to come in and take care of this business. Walk us through how you're able to kind of assess a client like that and what you would give them as examples so these guys can come away with some good stuff.
So that's a great question, and it would start with an assessment. And what I'm looking at and for is one, obviously, well, not obviously, but what's the result they're trying to accomplish? Then the second thing I'm going to want to do is, after I determine what they want to accomplish, where they are, I'm looking for what would have the most leverage on accomplishing that result. Because I want to focus on working on one or two things at a time.
And I'm going to stop you for a second because that's a term that they may or may not be familiar with. Obviously, everyone knows what leverage means, but what you're talking about, what Bill's talking about, is John Maxwell the way it was explained to me was John Maxwell said you can add to your business or you can multiply in your business. Adding would be like, okay, so if you have 5 rocks here and I would add, and I would say I'm building up the rocks, and I'd say, Bill, do you mind helping me take the rocks up? That's adding. Okay, leveraging or multiplying, leverage is the word you use, is, okay, you know what, let me take 10 minutes to build a wheelbarrow, and that way I can get 3 of these rocks up myself. It's not adding more time to it. So I just want to get that point.
Very good.
I just want to get that point. You're talking about what is, and then you can pick right back up, what and where is the most leverage for getting, and you didn't say this, but you implied it, the most impact on my business. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's a good point.
And so once I determine that leverageable thing, that's where I'm gonna make a proposal that we do the work. And the idea obviously is get the big rocks first. And then that gives you an ability to solve those other challenges, and more importantly, not only gives you the ability to solve those other challenges, but in solving the other challenges creates the ability for them to have impact or effect. Because if you don't have the lever,
that's another good point.
If you don't have the lever, you can fix something else, but it won't impact, it won't show up.
So give yourself, what I heard you say is not only figure out where the leverage is, what we just talked about, but also give yourself a chance this is the terminology I use, give yourself a chance to be successful,
Yeah.
right? Let's give ourselves enough time to run after it's done to be able to do that. You know, one of the things, so people sometimes ask me, they're like, Brian, how do you figure out what to do? Like, how do you know, there's a million things to do. And people ask me this.
That's right.
And I don't know what they think I do. But I'll tell you, which is, you know, the idea is like it's a perfect example. We were talking about, I'm building I launched a book, and you know this, okay? And I'm building out a funnel on Facebook and doing some different things, and that's fine. And I was walking the dog, I think it was yesterday. I was walking the dog.
Some of the best ideas.
Right. I was walking the dog yesterday, and I had, now the way my day is structured is I usually do like a power hour initially. So I'm an early morning, so I'm up at 6:15 at the desk at 7, and I do a power hour till like around 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock, depends how I feel. And I'm walking the dog at 9 o'clock. So then I did what I needed to do, and then I had 2 choices of what I could do. But I knew that I only had 1 spot to do it in. Like, there was not going to be enough time to do both.
There you go.
And I'm telling you, this is my thought. I'm walking the dog. I'm like, okay, what do you think the best thing is to do now? And it was like build a blog. I remember this. I had to either build a blog or I had to do something. It was something to do with the funnel. There was some loose ends, but they were both going to take about 90 minutes. And there was only 1 block of 90 minutes left, and because the next after that was 5 clients. There wasn't any more 90 minutes that day. And I remember walking the dog, and I actually wound up vacillating. I wound up deciding to do the 90 minutes loose ends. You know why? Because it's the point that you just made and we were talking about, because I didn't think about it as like a threshold value, which I love that. But what I thought about it was satisfaction. I'm going to feel better doing these points than I will starting this over here. You know, so for me, a lot of times, I just look at it in terms of what's going to help me feel better.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And how I'm going to be able to get that satisfaction.
That's right.